Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Come in, come in, come in. This is Tamika's Den. I am Tamika, and this is what you should be watching, okay? Welcome, welcome, welcome to you if you are new to the channel, okay? You guys, first and foremost, I just want to give a shout out to my subscribers. I appreciate y'all. To everybody that leaves a comment, I appreciate y'all. I just made 6 months on YouTube, okay, and I think it was last week I hit 150 subscribers, but I forgot to mention it. I think I'm up to like 173 now, so I appreciate y'all. All right, I'm moving on up slowly, okay, and you know, I'm just really thankful for you guys. I really, really appreciate it. It lets me know that I'm on the right track, okay? And this is what you should be watching, number 20, all right, that we are doing today. And so last week, guys, I gave you guys a June breakdown for everything that was coming out in June. If you have not seen that, go check it out. All movies and TV shows for June is already put out. You know, from March to May, I gave whatever was coming out for those months. You know, back in February, I did Black History, okay, movies and TV shows for y'all to check out. And before that, I did a holiday edition. So if you haven't seen any of the other what you should be watching, please go check those out too, okay? Like, share, and comment, subscribe if you are so inclined. I appreciate it. But getting into this list, you guys, I want to reminisce, all right? I want to go back into time. We want to take it kind of easy today, all right? And just, talk about some of them old school classics favorites, all right? That's what I'm giving y'all today. And so hopefully you guys, you know, are just able to maybe have a laugh. Remember, be like, oh, shoot, I ain't see that one in a minute. Okay, yeah, I'm in the mood to watch that. Now, it's crazy because this one was already on my list, you guys. I actually was going to share this one last week, and then I decided against it. I was like, nah, I already got Godfather on the list for my old school classic favorites, so I'm not going to share this with that. I'm going to save it. And unfortunately, right after that, okay, you guys, we got the news that Ray Liotta passed away, and I love him, all right? He is so great. And of course, most of the people that were talking about, you know, movies that he did was, of course, talking about GoodFellas. That is a classic, and that is on my list, all right, as my number one. We also had a lot of people talk about Field of Dreams, but Ray Liotta did so much more than that, okay? He got like almost 130 film credits. You know, he done did voiceovers for, you know, video games. He done been on cartoons. He done had, I don't know how many, you know, visits to different sitcoms and shows and stuff like that. He also did Wild Hogs. He did Blow. He did Hannibal. He did Identity. He did Copland. He did John Q. He did Smoking Aces. He, you know, he was on the show Shades of Blue with Jennifer Lopez that I loved. He was on Hannah, you know, from Prime. So shout out to him. Rest in peace to him. You know, prayers to his family. I do love him so much as an actor. Was definitely a fan. And GoodFellas is definitely one of my favorites. I'm actually going to watch it today. And so, like I said, that's my number one. So I want to go ahead and talk a little bit about that. Of course, we know that this was about Henry Hill, okay? It started out with him as a young man who grows up in the mob. You know, works very hard to advance himself, and through the ranks, he enjoys his life and money and luxury. But obviously, okay, the horror that it can cause is a whole different story. And a drug addiction and a few mistakes ultimately unravel, you know, his climb to the top. And of course, this was directed by Martin Scorsese, and it also had Robert De Niro and Joe Pesci in it. Okay, you guys, so that is one of my old school classic favorites. Now, another one that also came from Martin Scorsese that I love too, okay, is Casino. And this also has Robert De Niro, I should say, and Joe Pesci in it. And of course, this was the early 1970s Las Vegas, you know what I'm saying, residency, low-level mobsters. And it has Sam Asa, who of course was played by Robert De Niro, you know, and it has, you know, him, you know, he gets topped, right, by his bosses, or tapped, I should say, by his bosses, to kind of head the Tangiers, right, and Casino. And at first, he's great. He has success at the job. They all happy, and it's like, all right, now get it. And then, you know, over the years, he starts to have problems. He becomes a loose cannon, you know, and enforcer Nicky Santero, of course, played by Joe Pesci, has to step in. And we also had, you know, his ex-wife, Ginger, who was played by Sharon Stone. So this was like an all-star cast, and that is definitely another one of my old school classics favorites. So that is number 2, Casino. We then go to number 3, okay, you guys, The Drop. I don't know if y'all heard about this one before, okay? And I would say that this is just one of my favorites. I don't know if I can say it's an old school and a classic now, all right? And so we have back Bob Skowinski, right, who was played by Tom Hardy. And he tends this bar, whatever the case may be, right? And it's his cousin's pub, right? And so mobsters use the joint as a temporary bank, you know what I'm saying? And at first his life is simple, but then it turns really crazy and complicated when he finds this injured puppy, you know, this battered puppy, and he asks his neighbor Nadia for her help. And there's a mutual attraction going on between him and Nadia. And then the next thing you know, you have Nadia's abusive ex come into the play, all right? And Bob has to face the truth about, you know, who he thinks he is to others, okay, and himself. And I actually like that one a lot. I have watched it several times. So just in case you are under a rock and you missed it, hey, check it out. And those that know about it, okay? And so number 4 is The Green Mile. Love this movie too. And it's funny because, you know, I think when you talk about Tom Hanks and when you talk about Joe Pesci, with them doing a lot of comedic roles, they definitely are two that proved that, you know, you could be serious with it and you could be, you know, a really good in comedy movies too. Like, not everybody could do that. So I think we have to give them, you know, their props when it comes to that. And of course, with Green Mile, this was Paul Hedgecombe, who Tom Hanks plays, right? He walks the Green Mile, you know, with a variety of different types of cons that has been arrested. And he encounters somebody, all right, Mr. John Coffey, of course, played by Michael Clark Duncan, you know, a massive black man who's convicted of butchering and killing these 2 young sisters, all right? And Coffey, you know, even though he got this big size and strength and everything, right, he would be the perfect one that they would be like, oh, I'm so scared and I'm feared for my life with, right? But he seems like he's too delicate to actually kill anyone, right? His demeanor is very soft, very simple, very naive. He's afraid of the dark and all of that kind of stuff. And it seems that he also possesses a supernatural gift. That is definitely one of my faves, you know, and that is number 4, The Green Mile, okay? Moving on along, all right? Ease on down the road, okay? We're going to keep this thing going. Coming in at number 5, I have Road to Perdition, all right? This is also with Tom Hanks. I love this movie. You know, this is where a mob enforces, you know, his son in the 1930s, Illinois, is a witness to a murder, forcing him, okay, and his father to take the road. And his father, you know, down a path of redemption and revenge. It takes him and his father down the road of path to redemption and revenge. And I love this movie so much. Road to Perdition with Tom Hanks. That is my number 5. Number 6 now is It's a Thin Line Between Love and Hate. Hey, what y'all know about that? And I ain't talking about that H-Town one. You know, that was cute. But I'm talking about the original Don Dada. Nah, let me stop. But this is A Thin Line with Martin Lawrence, okay, of course. And Lynn Winfield, right? And this is, of course, when he's a ladies' man. He's Darnell Wright. And he's used to getting his way with women, right? Although he is, you know, kind of wanting to get with his longtime love, Mia, who is played by none other than Regina King, okay? And, but he's still out here playing the field, and he meets this beautiful lady named Brandy, of course, that's played by Lynn Winfield. And, you know, he tries to bed her and then ditch her. And then was like, oh, I know you done lost your daggone mind. So, you know, this, of course, makes, you know, him have an unpleasant surprise coming to him, right? And so that is my number 6. Now, number 7, guys. Y'all know I love me some Richard Pryor. I done had some of his movies on, some of my, you know, past What You Should Be Watchings. And I have another one coming from him here, and that is Which Way Is Up, baby. Okay, this is one of those movies where he's actually playing several different characters, you know, so that's something that we see Martin do later in his movies, Eddie Murphy do later in his movies, you know. And in this one, we have him playing, you know, an orange picker named Leroy. He's also playing a pastor. He also played, you know, his father. So he's, like I said, playing several roles. But we have, you know, Leroy Jones, who inevitably, sorry, y'all, becomes a union leader, right? And it's actually by mistake, right? They think that he's really trying to be out here fighting for stuff. So they like, okay, you're going to go and you're going to represent us. And he gets forced out of town, and he has to basically leave behind his wife, you know, and his sexually obsessed father, right? And the wife is Anna Mae, who is played by Margaret Avery. You know, and she begins to seek solace in the preacher, who of course is also being played by Pryor. Now, in the meantime, Pryor, who's playing Leroy Jones, moves out to LA and falls in love with a union organizer, Vanetta. And so he out here with Vanilla, and his wife back home with, you know, the preacher man and his daddy. So things get a little crazy, and he, of course, has to find which way is up, all right? And that is definitely one of my old school classic favorites, guys, all right? Now, number 8, we getting a little serious now on this one, all right? Might not be for everybody, but I figure since we just had, you know, excuse me, y'all. We just had Memorial Day, right? And I myself have a lot of family that have been in military for years and years and years going back on both sides, but especially my dad's side. And we know that, you know, there's a lot that have just gave their lives for us. So I threw this one in here in honor of that, and that is number 5, Glory, all right? With, of course, Morgan Freeman, Matthew Broderick, Denzel Washington, you know, following the battle of Anonymous Colonel Robert Gold Shaw, who of course is Matthew Broderick, okay, is offered the command of the United States 1st African American Regiment. You know, this is the 5th Massachusetts Volunteer Infirmary, and it shows, you know, that it puts together this strong, proud unit, right? But this is also including the escaped slave trip, okay, Denzel Washington, of course, and the wise gravedigger John Rowlands Morgan Freeman, okay? And of course, things ain't easy for them in this at all. And that is Glory at my number 8, y'all. Now, moving on along, we are now at number 9. And for number 9, y'all, since we just had the 101 Tulsa Massacre, okay, and unfortunately had a daggone shooting the day after. I didn't know that that was going to happen at the time. You know, we've been having too many of those. But nonetheless, that's why we want to, you know, laugh and be able to talk about other things outside of all the craziness that's going on in the world. But I had this on my list already because I was thinking of the fact that the 101 Tulsa Massacre was coming. And, you know, we know that there's been many massacres, okay? And so we had the movie Rosewood. That is my number 9. And it basically showed how Rosewood was, you know, in Florida, is a small, peaceful, you know, town within this almost entirely, you know, African-American community and population of middle-class homeowners, okay, that have their own businesses, their own homes, they ain't bothering nobody. And until New Year's Day, 1923, they was all good. But, of course, people don't like to see, you know, people, it's funny to me with that, where it's like, yeah, get your own stuff, get away from here. But then even when people have their own, then you mad that they got their own and they look like they doing just as good as you or better than you. So we had this neighboring white community decide that they want to come over and storm they daggone town, y'all, all right? And so, of course, this was made, you know, from John Singleton, you know, rest in peace to him. And it had Ving Rhames, Don Cheadle, and the brilliant, you know, Esther Roll in it. And so that is another one of my classics and my favorite, Rosewood. Now, this one is just to kind of lighten up the mood. This is my number 10. And this is Death at a Funeral. I know that that's like, hey, how the hell is Death lightening up the mood? But to me, this movie is funny, even though it's a remake. Of course, this was when Martin Lawrence and Chris Rock, you know, and you had Martin preparing for his father's funeral, you know, and that's never pleasant, okay? That's hard for anybody, but for Aaron, okay, who was played by Martin Lawrence, of course, it is even more, you know what I'm saying? Like, everything going wrong or whatever the case may be, everything is shaping up to make this the worst day of his life. You know, you got sibling rivalry going on, you got meddling and family members going on, you got a stranger coming with a big daggone secret threatening to blow the lid off the coffin, okay, literally and figuratively. And when Aaron is struggling to give his, you know, fallen father the proper burial, y'all, and all type of craziness is going on. And that movie makes me laugh so hard. I always notice something different about it every time I watch it. So I decided I would add that on the list. Now we are moving on to number 11, y'all. All About the Benjamins with Mr. Mike Epps and Ice Cube, okay? And of course you have Ice Cube playing the bounty hunter Buckham Jackson, and he teams up with a small town con artist, Reggie Wright, who is of course Mike Epps, and that he is pursuing an attempt to locate missing stash and diamonds and this lottery ticket that's supposed to be worth $1 million. And so they find themselves in a race to finish and embark on an unlikely partnership, okay, that should prove to be beneficial to them both, all right? And of course, we got Mike Epps with the 15, 30, 37, 38. 45, 47. I'm sorry, y'all, but that always cracks me up. So that is my number 11. Now moving down the road, and this is number 12, okay? And this is kind of a 2-for-1, if you will, because this is, my fave. I love Chadwick Boseman. I was always a fan of him way before Black Panther. I used to say he was my husband in my head, so when he passed away, my girlfriend was calling me immediately because she knows that I was devastated. But 42, and it's funny because I also always thought he was a good actor, had so much potential and could go, so much further. And I didn't want him to kind of get stuck playing, roles that was known people biography roles. I wanted him to be able to get a mix of stuff done. And baby, he was getting busy. He was getting it in. So who knows how far he would not, he would have went. But he did do good in these two documentary films, in my opinion. And that is number 42, okay, as my number 12, where in 1946 he was basically playing, of course, Jackie Robinson, and in 1946 Branch Rickey, played by Harrison Ford, who was a legendary manager of the Brooklyn Dodgers, basically defied the major league color barrier, so they say, by signing Jackie Robinson to the team. And this was the catalyst for Rickey and Robinson, to get out there, and basically they become, on the fire line, okay, of public, press, and of course the other players facing racism from all sides, and then he came in, baby, and did it, get on up, all right, where he played James Brown. And of course we know that James Brown was born in extreme poverty in 1933, South Carolina. He survived abuse and jail and all kind of stuff to become the most influential musician of the 20th century. So Chadwick Boston, continue to rest in peace. I miss you. And that is my number 12 and number 13, y'all. Now we are getting closer to the end of my list. I only have 2 left, okay? And I'm going to give y'all number 14, one of my favorites, okay? Kung Fu Hustle, baby. I love this movie, and I seen a tweet recently that they supposed to be making another part. I don't know how true that is, all right? But I'll go back to this and watch it anytime, y'all, all right? And of course, this is when we have this hapless, singer, and dim-witted, pal, all right, that try to scam these residents and pretend that they are part of the pigsty, alley gang or whatever. And they try to trick them into thinking that they're members of the gang until the real gang show up, honey. All right. But then there's some people that's living there that's amongst these residents that ain't just, about to have nobody coming and beating them all up and doing what they want to do. They got some tricks up their sleeve too. And they got some people that they don't know about, but they about to find out about. All right. And so that is Kung Fu Hustle. I love that one. And last but not least, coming in on my number 15 as my old school classic favorite, we have Shogun Assassin. Yes, I told y'all I like a little bit of everything, all right? So I want to see y'all kicking some behind, too, and pulling out some swords and all that good stuff. So this is what this, medieval samurai known as Lord Wolf, who wanders through the countryside with his young son, all right, to seek these people, okay, and take vengeance, all right, against those who murder his wife. No, we ain't having that. We about to kick y'all behind, and we gonna be holding the baby while we do it. All right. And so that is my number 15, Shogun Assassin. So you guys, if you have any old school classic favorites, please put it in the comments. Tell me what's some of your faves. Tell me if you watched any of the stuff on my list. Tell me something you watching, okay, that I should be watching. Let me know, because I'm always looking for stuff to watch. I hope y'all have fun. I hope y'all was able to reminisce and relax when they release and enjoy this. All right. And you can like, share, comment, subscribe if you are so inclined. Until next time, talk to y'all later. Toodaloo.